Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. How are we getting on? So, we have a little bit of news regarding Season 2 of Amazon Prime's Fallout show for the first time in quite a while, which is really, really cool to hear. So, right now, Ella Purnell, the actress who plays Lucy in the Prime Fallout series, is currently out and about promoting her new series, which is completely unrelated, obviously, but she has been asked a little bit about what's happening with Fallout, and we've not really heard a great deal since not long after Season 1 released, back in April. So it's good to have a little bit of information sort of about what's on the horizon, which is really, really nice. So obviously the series came out back in April. It was pretty well received on the whole, which is great, and within a couple of days we got the news that it had been renewed for Season 2, which is awesome because, well, spoilers, the Season 1 they left the door very much open to a Season 2, which is great. So since then, we've had a couple of snippets of news here and there, basically suggesting that maybe the writers had scripts sorted for Season 2, and that was about it, other than it was happening. So, since then we've had relative radio silence, and here in an interview with Variety talking about her current project, Ella Purnell has a couple of snippets to say about when Season 2 of Fallout might go into production and what might be happening with that. So, I'll link the full article down below if you want to have a little read of that, but the general gist of what she had to say was vague, to be honest. She's basically implied that she'll be getting into gear to shoot the second season next year, but has not read anything and doesn't really know anything about it. And the only preparation she's made so far is that over the next 6 months or so, she's trying to get into better shape because she expects to be doing a lot of running around. Fair enough, that kind of aligns with what we know. But the interesting thing here is that she doesn't know anything about it, and we have an approximate 6 months next year kind of vibe for when it might go into production. So to me, this is not massively surprising, but cool to have something vaguely resembling confirmation anyway. So we're looking at probably around about March, April time for production, if the sort of window is reasonably accurate in this, which would kind of line up. It's been a long time now since streaming services in particular have gone down that whole 22 episodes, 45 minutes each every season, coming out every year that TV used to do back in the day. These days we just don't get that. It's, shorter series lengths and they come out a lot less often. It's been going on for a while and that trend looks to continue. So this whole situation is not a shock. But there's a number of other factors obviously going into this that kind of push out the potential release window for Season 2. Obviously you've got some of the actors are very, very busy, Ella Purnell in particular, and Walton Goggins as well, who plays the Ghoul. Both of them are appearing in a lot of things that are quite high profile at the moment. So very, very cool for them. But that does mean the challenge of getting all the actors in the same place at the same time to shoot Fallout is a logistical quandary for the show makers. On top of that, there's a couple of other factors going on behind the scenes as well. We've heard the suggestion that the writers have the scripts done. Whether or not that's entirely true, or maybe a bit exaggerated, or things might be changing, because that happens, things change up to production, and sometimes they rewrite scripts on the fly during production as well, so all of that could change. And there's also a whole bunch of other stuff going on. So we know the series will be moving from the West Coast inland a little bit more during the course of Season 2 when that happens. So we're likely to see some of the existing locations reappear, particularly locations like the Namibian coast. Crikey, that is actually quite hard to say. So that will probably be reappearing in a few scenes. But they have also had an offer, the showrunners that is, from the state of California to move production out there. A lot of the other locations were filmed in and around the New York area for Season 1. But as I say, the state of California have offered the showrunners a number of tax breaks, I believe is the gist of it, to move production out to California. And if they take that, that's going to require a big shift over there. They're going to have to scout new locations, which to be honest they're going to have to do anyway, and then figure out the designs and create the sets and obviously new costumes and countless other things for characters and so on and so forth. So that's all going to take a while to do. Granted, they'll have a decent sized team working on these sorts of things, but it still doesn't happen overnight. So all of this comes together to mean that there being a bit of a gap between Season 1 and 2 is not particularly a shock. But if this is accurate, and we're going to see it going into production in the early part of next year, that would probably mean, at its earliest, in all likelihood, roughly a 6-month gap between the end of filming and the release of the show, at least, with all the post-production they have to do and so on and so forth. That's normally about the way it works out. So that would put it in late 2025 at the soonest for a launch. And to be honest, 18 months after the first series, that lines up with the way streaming services tend to do these things anyway, so that seems reasonable. It's also possible that it might go a little longer than that. That certainly does happen as well. Obviously, COVID starts to factor in a bit there, so that's kind of less relevant to the production schedule now, but still, things do tend to expand out a little bit more, so it's also conceivable that early 2026 could be the launch window as well. Obviously, we had a spring launch for Season 1. A spring launch for Season 2 would not be a shocking follow-on from that. So it could be as late as early 2026 before the thing actually drops as well. Obviously, this is kind of wild speculation based on some probably vague figures mentioned in passing in an interview, but it's interesting to have a little update considering in the last, nearly 6 months or so, there hasn't really been a lot coming out. So, yeah, very cool. That's my thoughts in relation to what Ella Purnell had to say about the upcoming Season 2. I definitely enjoyed Season 1. I'm looking forward to seeing where they go with Season 2 and what happens there. There's going to be some interesting questions given where they're likely to go as to how that lines up with the game world, but that happened last time as well, so we'll have to see. Yeah, should be cool. So, I hope you folks found this interesting, informative, and are looking forward to Season 2 as well. In the meantime, of course, there's always Season 1 to rewatch on Prime if you want to. Oh, and the games and everything as well, so we've not got any shortage of Fallout stuff. If you did like the video, please do consider dropping subs and likes. I very much appreciate. Down below, I've got social media links if you want to check those out. I've just jumped onto Blue Sky, so if you want to catch me over there, it's the usual Darth Xion Games handle, so do have a little gander at that. And yeah, we should be getting back to live streaming fairly soon, I hope. My dental issues notwithstanding, I'm somewhat on the mend, so hopefully I'll be able to jump back into that in the next few days. Fingers crossed. And yeah, that should be cool. Looking forward to that. But for now, we'll try and keep the videos coming. So, thank you very much for watching. I look forward to speaking to you all very, very soon.